Some people think clutter is just mess. Bonnie learned it was something deeper. Every time she opened the front door, her chest tightened. Shoes scattered, paper stacked, objects waiting to be handled someday. Her house wasn't loud, but it was heavy. And slowly her life became the same. She felt stuck, money felt tight, her mind never fully rested. Bonnie blamed time, she blamed exhaustion, she blamed herself. What she didn't realize was this: her home was quietly training her brain to stay overwhelmed. One calm conversation on a quiet porch changed everything, not by teaching her how to organize furniture, but by showing her why order unlocks movement. If you've ever walked into your own home and felt tired before sitting down, stay until the end. Before we continue, like, subscribe, and share this video. It helps this message reach people who feel blocked but don't know why. Now, stay with the full story. Her name was Bonnie Harris, and she was 36 years old. From the outside, Bonnie's life looked normal. She worked, paid her bills, took care of her responsibilities, and tried to keep everything moving. No one would call her lazy. No one would say she wasn't trying. But inside her home, everything felt unfinished. Bonnie's house wasn't filthy. It was crowded with decisions. Shoes by the door with no place to go, bags on chairs, papers spread across the table, drawers that didn't close properly, closets filled with clothes she hadn't worn in years but couldn't bring herself to release. Every object waited. "I'll deal with it later," she told herself. Later never arrived. At the end of each day, Bonnie walked in carrying groceries, stress, and mental fatigue. She stepped around clutter like it was part of the floor. She dropped her keys wherever her hand stopped. She avoided certain rooms because they made her feel guilty. Her house stopped feeling like rest. It felt like a to-do list that never ended. Bonnie noticed something else, too. The mess wasn't just visual. It affected everything. She lost documents and had to replace them. She paid bills late because she couldn't find them. She bought duplicates of things she already owned. Her mind felt noisy all the time. She was busy, constantly busy, but nothing felt finished. One late afternoon, after tripping over a box she didn't even remember bringing home, Bonnie sat on the floor and stared at the room around her. "This shouldn't be this hard," she whispered. She didn't need a bigger house. She didn't need new furniture. She needed relief. Next door lived Mrs. Eleanor Brooks, a retired woman who moved slowly but never seemed rushed. Her home was small, simple, and almost empty, yet warm. Every time Bonnie visited, she noticed the same thing. The air felt different, calmer, lighter. Mrs. Brooks welcomed her without questions. She poured a glass of water and let Bonnie sit in silence for a moment. Then she said something Bonnie had never considered before. "Your home isn't messy," she said gently. "It's overloaded." And in that moment, Bonnie understood something important. Her home wasn't just undisorganized. It was holding her life in place. Mrs. Brooks didn't stand up to start cleaning. She stayed seated. Because what Bonnie needed wasn't action yet. It was clarity. "People think clutter is about laziness," Mrs. Brooks said softly. "But clutter is really about unfinished decisions." Bonnie felt that sentence land in her chest. Mrs. Brooks explained it in simple terms. Every object in Bonnie's house came from a past version of her life. Clothes that no longer fit who she was. Gadgets meant to be fixed one day. Papers kept out of fear. Gifts she never liked but felt guilty discarding. None of them were neutral. "Each item asks something from your mind," Mrs. Brooks said, "and every time you see it, your brain answers with stress." Bonnie thought about her closet, the tight dress she promised herself she'd wear again, the broken lamp in the hallway, the drawer full of random objects with no purpose. "I feel bad throwing things away," she admitted. "It feels wasteful." Mrs. Brooks nodded. "That's not responsibility," she said. "That's fear wearing a polite mask.
Fear of needing something later. Fear of wasting money. Fear of letting go of who you used to be. Then Mrs. Brooks said the sentence that broke Bonnie's resistance completely. When you keep what no longer serves you, you're telling life you don't trust the future. Bonnie's eyes filled with tears. She realized her house wasn't full because she loved things. It was full because she was afraid. Afraid of not having enough. Afraid of making the wrong choice. Afraid of emptiness. And that fear followed her everywhere. Mrs. Brooks stood up and opened a window. Fresh air moved through the room, shifting the heavy atmosphere. The first rule, she said, is removal. Not organizing, not buying storage bins, not rearranging furniture. Removal. You don't need better systems, Mrs. Brooks continued. You need less weight. She gave Bonnie a simple instruction. Take one bag, just one. Walk through your home and ask 2 questions for each object. Do I use this? Does this support the life I live now? If the answer was no, it didn't deserve space. Empty space isn't loss, it's permission. Bonnie finally understood. Her life wasn't stuck, it was overloaded. And overload didn't require motivation, it required courage to let go.
Mrs. Brooks didn't rush Bonnie. She knew that letting go was only the first step. Once you remove what doesn't belong, she said, the next problem appears. Bonnie looked confused. Things without a home. Mrs. Brooks stood and walked slowly toward the front door. Right beside it was a small table. On it, a bowl with keys, nothing else. This, she said, is why my house stays calm. Bonnie frowned. It's just a bowl. No, Mrs. Brooks replied. It's a decision that never needs to be made again. She explained it clearly. Most people lose time and energy not because they have too much to do, but because they have to decide the same things over and over. Where do I put my keys? Where did I leave that paper? Where should this go? When objects don't have a home, Mrs. Brooks said, your mind never rests. That was the second rule. Everything must have a place and return to it. Not a perfect place, not a beautiful place, a decided place. She showed Bonnie the kitchen drawers, simple dividers, nothing expensive, everything visible, everything reachable. When you use something and return it, Mrs. Brooks continued, the house organizes itself. Bonnie realized how much of her life was spent searching. Then came the third rule. Mrs. Brooks picked up a cloth and gently wiped the table, slowly, intentionally. Cleaning isn't punishment, she said. It's communication. Bonnie raised an eyebrow. When you clean with anger, Mrs. Brooks explained, the house feels like a burden. When you clean with care, the house becomes support. She didn't believe in exhausting once-a-week cleaning marathons. 15 minutes a day, she said, that's maintenance. If something spills, clean it now. If the sink fills, wash it now. If the bed is unmade, make it now. Accumulation is what exhausts you, not the work. Then she moved to the entryway. This is the fourth rule, she said. The entrance is a transition. Bonnie noticed how clean it was, shoes aligned, space to breathe. When you enter your home, she said, your mind needs a signal that the outside world stays outside. A place for shoes, a place for bags, a pause before stepping in. Without this, she said, stress walks in with you. Bonnie felt something click. Order wasn't about control, it was about protecting energy. And for the first time, organizing didn't feel overwhelming, it felt logical. Bonnie didn't start by fixing the whole house. She started with one bag. That first evening, she stood in the bedroom holding a trash bag, feeling strangely nervous. Each object felt heavier than it should, not because of its weight, but because of the story attached to it. The jeans that hadn't fit in years, the broken lamp she promised she'd repair, stacks of paper she was afraid to sort. Her hands trembled at first. Then something shifted. With every decision she finished, her breathing slowed. With every object released, a small tension left her body. She didn't rush. She didn't force herself to be ruthless. She was honest. By the end of the night, the bag was full, and the room felt different. Not empty, clear. The next day, she noticed something unexpected. She woke up with less resistance. Getting out of bed felt easier. Making coffee felt lighter. The house didn't pull at her attention the way it used to. Bonnie followed Mrs. Brooks's rules quietly. She gave keys a home, bills a single place, shoes an entry point. No more guessing, no more searching. She cleaned for 15 minutes each morning, not angrily, but deliberately. She wiped surfaces slowly. She opened windows. She stopped waiting for chaos to accumulate before responding. Her house began to respond too. Clutter stopped spreading. Tasks stopped piling up. Her mind stopped racing. Within weeks, the changes spilled into other areas of her life. She stopped buying things she didn't need because she knew exactly what she already owned. She paid bills on time because she knew where they were. She stopped feeling behind because fewer decisions chased her all day. Friends noticed. "You seem calmer," someone said. "More present," another mentioned. Bonnie didn't explain. She didn't need to. She understood now. Her house wasn't just cleaner, it was supporting her. Order had given her back something she hadn't felt in a long time. Control, not over life, but over her space. And space, she learned, changes behavior naturally. She wasn't pushing herself to improve. She was removing what made improvement difficult.
Bonnie never became obsessed with organizing. She became clear. Her house didn't turn into a magazine spread. The furniture stayed the same. The walls didn't change. But the energy inside did. There was air. There was light. There was space to think. And with that space came movement. Bonnie learned something most people never connect. A disorganized home doesn't just take time, it takes mental bandwidth. Every object without a place asks a question. Every pile waits for a decision. Every unfinished corner keeps your mind slightly alert. That constant low-level stress drains energy you could be using to live. The moral of Bonnie's story is simple. Order is not about perfection. It's about removing friction from your life. When your home is clear, your mind has fewer obstacles. When your mind is clear, your life moves forward naturally. Bonnie didn't force change. She made it easier. She stopped storing guilt in closets, stopped storing fear in drawers, stopped storing the past in her living space. And by doing that, she gave the present room to breathe. If your life feels heavy, don't ask what you need to add. Ask what needs to leave. Start with one drawer, one bag, one surface. Create one calm place. Before you leave, like, subscribe, and share this video. It helps this message reach people who feel stuck but don't know where the weight is coming from. And remember this advice. A clear home doesn't solve your problems. It removes the noise that keeps you from solving them.